I want to welcome you back to Black Science. Tonight we're going to talk about the Africans who are stranded in the Ukraine. In this dispute between Ukraine and Russia, in which Vladimir Putin attacked Ukraine, trying to bring it back into the old Soviet Union, there are casualties of war. The casualties right now are Africans. Africans who have moved to the Ukraine, Africans who went to the Ukraine to study. They have been stranded and abandoned by the Ukraine government. Those who have tried to go to the border of countries like Poland have not been able to cross the border. They have been sent back into the Ukraine. Basically, what's going on right now, you're seeing racism during the war. They're basically saying you will sit there. We don't care what happens to you. You're not Ukrainian citizens and you don't matter. But you're supposed to protect people when they come to your country. They may not be citizens, but they're there for a reason. So there's basically no protection for the Africans. You have the Nigerian government and other governments complaining about the racism in Ukraine. But most people really don't know about the history of the Ukraine, that the Ukraine during World War II sided with Hitler. They have a strong neo-Nazi presence in that country. And I'm not surprised. See, we have to understand, and those Africans have to understand, when it comes to saving lives, they're basically saying we're going to treat our citizens Ukrainian first and your African behind second. This is why Africa needs to build up their own countries. They have all the resources in the world. There is no need for Africans to be in Ukraine. Basically, when they treat you this way, they put you back on trains and send you back into the country and say, you're not going anywhere. What do that tell you? How the hell do you practice racism during war, but you're seeing it in Ukraine? See, you're on the back burner. Where is the press in America to talk about this issue, about what's happening to Africans? They're not being protected. They're not being given weapons to protect themselves. So they're out there on their own, basically to be slaughtered by the Russians. There are people out there trying to gather Africans, trying to save their lives. Because when Putin's boys and them Chechen rebels come through town, they don't give a damn. They will lay you to rest. And they know it. Nobody's telling President Zelensky you should not be abandoning African refugees. They got a hashtag going, I think stranded Africans, because of no help being given by the Ukrainian government. If you come to the U.S. and those Africans was here and we were in conflict, we would also protect those Africans if they were American citizens. But you're not getting that over in the Ukraine. And there are probably some Africans who probably citizens of the country, probably because some of them probably stayed there after getting their education. There's Africans from 10 African countries, including Egypt, which I consider African, but the Arabs took over that. This is absolutely disgusting and is not being talked about in the mainstream media. See, you could practice racism during war as long as you're on the right side and the Ukrainians are on America's in the EU Union side. You just a casualty of war. And this should teach Africans, when you go to Ukraine, Russia, or China, You there to get an education, but they can care less about your safety, especially during a time of war or a time of a pandemic. They will treat you like you a third, fourth, fifth class citizen within the boundaries of their country. And these Africans had to learn the hard way. This is extremely disturbing. It's disrespectful to the Africans who are spending money to go to their universities and being treated this way by a government who says they're fighting for their freedom, but they can care less about the people in their country's livelihood and their freedom. Look at, they even got some soldiers walking around trying to hoard the Africans. And this is happening in Poland. They say, you can't cross my border. Your African behind can't come over here. You better get your ass back into the Ukraine. And if you die, you happen to die. Because your life isn't worth a white life during this conflict. They are experiencing racism and nobody's speaking. Why hasn't this been brought up in front of the UN? And saying, why are Africans being treated different? No one's saying a damn thing about it. This is extremely disturbing. But they're accepting 115,000 Ukrainians cross the border who happen to be white. But if you black, you can't cross any border. You can't leave the country. And that's disgusting and disturbing. But this is what the world is all about. Racism is practiced every day. And it's practiced in most of these European countries when they talk about freedom. They're not talking about everybody's freedom. They're talking about that good old white freedom. And if you happen to be slaughtered, who cares? They'll say you shouldn't have been over here anyway. The United States will turn their back. The European Union will turn their back. Everybody will turn their back. I want to thank you for listening to this quick take on Black Site. I hope you subscribe to this channel. Smash that like button, but also share this video.